Hey everybody, Stuart Anderson here with just a short introduction to episode 12 where we interview Mike Hanseen, shop director, master bike fitter up at Hangar 15. We're thankful for him and their sponsorship of the team. Thankful to Mike for spending about an hour with us where he talks about his history as a bike racer, his history as a bike fitter, his history as a shop owner, and kind of reveals some secrets and tips for us and the team they're really cool to listen to, a neat insight into him and his life, and especially to the shop. He also ends with some advice, some very sage advice from a guy who's been in the industry for a long time. So hopefully you enjoy this episode. We're grateful for him, thankful for the partnership we have with Hangar, and we'll be there this Thursday night for kit pickup. All right, we'll see everybody then. All right, welcome me Duole listeners. Stuart Anderson here, episode 12. We're so grateful and excited to have Mike Hanseen on with us from Hangar 15. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you. Thank you.
We've also got Jake Cook and Spencer Chipping joining us. So it's the four of us here today. Really looking forward to talking to Mike and hearing everything about Hangar, hearing everything about how he fits and his fittings that he does inside Hangar, and obviously just history of Mike, everything that is him related. So can't wait.
Let's do it.
Hey, before we get started, any announcements, guys? I mean, Jake, do you want to give us a few teasers for camp?
Yeah, we've got camp coming up in about a month, so we're just I know the details on that. We shared we unloaded a bunch of details a couple weeks ago. I know Stu and Chip and I are just finalizing some last minute details, so updates will be coming in I'd say within the next week, maybe two. We don't want to give you guys all the information, so we kind of want to be some things to be a surprise, but we're super excited. We've got some really good routes planned, and we just hope everyone can join. So if you're not a part of the GroupMe, the private GroupMe, please direct message me or text me. I'm happy to send you the link. I think so far we've got 70 people.
Oh boy!
Wow!
Oh boy!
It's gonna be wild, but yeah, we're excited and got some good sponsors. Obviously, Hangar's gonna be is a big sponsor of ours, and they're gonna be great. And got some other ones too, so we're excited.
Nice. Thanks, Jake. And then one of the reasons we're on with Mike today is we'll produce and release this right before kit pickup, which is happening this week. So it'll be Thursday the 4th. Super grateful for Hangar for hosting us and having us in the shop. So please join us 6 to 8 o'clock on February 4th. And we'll have all the goodies up there. So thank you, Mike. Thank you, team, for hosting us up there this week. So
hey, Stu.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know if you did justice to what is coming on Thursday night. So I'm just going to put a plug in. You guys have never seen such cool sweatshirts, hats. When Stu says goodies, they are just I wear them to work every day. They're so cool. But then Hangar 15 is also stepping in. There are T-shirts for the team members from Hangar 15. So thanks, Mike. We're working on other specials inside the store. And then there's other sponsors of the team that are going to be there that are doing specials only during packet pickup. This is one for the books.
Before we formally introduce Mike and get into kind of his background and history, I thought it'd be fun. People are always asking us what bikes we ride. Jake, will you go first? Just your current setup. Give it to us.
Current setup, I ride the SL7. I ride it with some NV 4.5 ARs, and I'm running a 29-inch wheel on that. I run a compact setup on the front with a 11 by 30 on the back. So, just all the climbing gearing you need for living in Utah. So that's about it.
Okay. Very good.
Nice.
Chip?
I'm not going to leave it to my road bike only because I really love my road bike. I do have an updated SL6, specialized SL6. Love the DI2. Love the new wheels from Millcreek. But I love my specialized Crux for the gravel. I love my new S-Works mountain bike for the mountains. So during the snow, I prefer my fat bike. So
Chip's got the full gamut. man.
Jeez, Chip.
Full quiver. I like it.
God. Okay, Mike.
All found at Hangar 15.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nice.
I ride a stock mechanical Dura-Ace 9100 Cannondale Super 6.
Money.
That's what I ride for the road. My fixie is a 100th year anniversary BH, which stands for Bestigi Hermanos. And then for a mountain bike, I don't own one. I don't own a mountain bike currently.
What?
And then
Why,
I have a
Mike?
1957
Whoa.
Schwinn
Banana seat.
cruiser.
Oh.
Yeah. And I ride that around. And I also ride from my childhood a Schwinn ram horn, 20-inch wheels, shifter in the ball breaker area, right there in the middle.
Wow.
I got quite the collection, but
No Huffy?
no Huffy.
I feel we need that one.
No
on
Huffy, but
ride.
you know, it's on my radar is Serrata built Huffy. That's what Team 711. I would love to have one of those in my museum. It's a
Dang.
sick bike.
Why don't you have a mountain bike, Mike?
Oh, I sold it with COVID. It
Oh.
was, I just could not. Right. And so when I ride, I'm either indoors on my trainer or on my road bike because of
Yeah.
convenience and time. And so I
Mhm.
just don't have time. So why have a mountain bike that I ride 5 times a year?
Yeah.
So choices.
Come on, boss, dude. Let's hear your setup.
Well, for years I rode a Cannondale Evo, flipping loved it. I had SRAM red on there, just mechanical, and I put like 40,000 miles on that beast, and it was money. And then I was getting ready to sell it, and unfortunately, the carbon stem, the post, seat post, has fused to the carbon frame.
From all the sweat?
They've become one. To become one. So I cannot get the seat out. The saddle's stuck.
Is it because of the sweat, though?
I mean, the way Mike explained it is the ions actually pass
Electrons. Yes.
electrons. They pass through so that it literally has become like, it's not just that it's stuck, like it's actually like become one.
They're fused.
They're fused.
Yes.
Yeah. Sweat, pressure, whatever, grime. So that bike sits in my museum downstairs. I just look at it and wonder, maybe one day I'll cut that thing out.
You don't have to worry about your satellite slipping.
Yeah, exactly. No, I ride the SL6 S-Works. I bought it with Dura-Ace. And this is the first time I've ever had a bike with a compact, which I thought would be weird, like, no, ready to come. Dude, it changed everything for me last year.
Right.
Like, I was crushing everywhere I went on a compact. 30 in the back, 1130 in the back, and NV
That's
wheels.
for a sub 50 up Little Cottonwood.
Dude, I kind of thought like, well, if I can push this standard, I'll be fast. I'm not an idiot. That thing crushed my life. So yeah,
You got to be doing 20-hour weeks to ride a standard, right?
so that's what I ride. That's it.
Nice.
And a Madsen bucket bike.
Bucket bike, yes.
Gotta
Hey, and
have it.
I'll add too, I guess we were talking about mountain bikes and gravel. I have an open gravel bike,
Oh yeah.
and then I have an S-Works Epic mountain bike. So there you go.
Open
Jeez.
makes good products. They
Yeah.
do good.
Nice. Well, I'd love to give a little more background and history on Mike. I would either defer to Mike to do that or Chip to lead us in this discussion. They are excellent friends and have known each other for many years. So maybe Chip, you want to take that away for us?
Yeah, absolutely. I have been working with Mike now. I would say we're approaching right close to 20 years that I have worked with Mike, used Mike on advice, bike fits. Every single bike that I have purchased in the last 15 plus years has been through Mike. He has built every one of my bikes, helped me with advice. And so what I have appreciated is Mike is not just a fantastic mechanic and bike fitter, which we'll get into in a little bit, but Mike also has a great history of not only the industry, but racing, riding himself. And so when you go to Mike with questions on climbing, descending, mountain biking, gravel, there's not a topic that Mike is not familiar with. And so you can talk about different products, and you can talk about weight, and you can talk about what you want to get out of your bike, and you can provide a budget. And so, I've just been building bikes with Mike for, man, as long as I have been riding, and have always appreciated that. And we want to hear Mike share more about his background on getting started. And so, Mike, share with us you getting into cycling and the industry as a whole, and then pause when you start getting into, and then I decided to open up a shop.
That's where it ends abruptly. That's for sure. For sure. So I grew up with my dad and my sister, single father. And unfortunately, he was not very well off, and we moved around quite a bit. And when we would move around, I would use my bike as transportation to go visit my old friends. And I kept in touch with those old friends by riding that Schwinn 20-inch Stingray. I can even remember me and Derek Pond, that's an old friend of mine. Okay, so this is before kids would get kidnapped all the time. I think I was 10. And so I rode him. And by the way, he's full grown at 10 years old, right? He's like 6 foot. I rode him on the back of that from my house, or from his house to my house to back. We had a wonderful time. Anyway, so that's where cycling started for me, is transportation to see my friends. And once we settled down, I found this bike shop called Bicycle Fair. That's now where Guthrie's is. Well, Guthrie's is in the Pizza Hut, but they were down just half a block. But anyway, so I got a job. I lied about my age, and I got a job as a stock boy. You could lie about your age back then because no computers. I got a job as a stock boy at Bicycle Fair, and they were super, super sweet. And I met this gentleman named Mike Card, and he was the used car salesman. He'd sell you a used DeLorean so fast. Anyway, he got me into bicycle racing. And so I bought my first racing bike. My dad thought I was crazy. I saved up $1,000. This is like, I want to say, so it was 8th grade, 1980. I bought $1,000 Bianchi Superleggera X1, full super record. I bought it used from Mike, and I loved it. I did my first snowbird hill climb on it, and I just fell in love with racing. But for me, it was more about cycling than it was racing. And then I watched Alexi Graywall win road racing gold medal in the Olympics. And I said to myself, I want to do that. That's what I want to do. I'm going to win. I'm going for the Olympics. And so I trained from then to 1992 to compete in the 1992 Olympics, which was the last year they allowed amateurs in the Olympics for the US. And then coincidentally, my son was born April 1992, and I realized other things are more important than racing bikes. And so I somewhat failed at the Olympic trials, but I made it to Olympic trials. So there's one achievement, right? But racing for me really gave me a lot of self-confidence that I didn't have growing up in the environment that I was, raised. So anyway, cycling can truly, truly save the world. If everyone rode bikes, what a better place it would be. So that's in a nutshell how I was introduced into cycling. Wow. But
so that's in 1992. So, and those Olympic, those trials, that was in 92, Mike?
Yeah, that's 92. And so the qualifications to get on the Olympic team was there were 2 chosen and then 2 alternates that were chosen by Chris Carmichael at the time. Mm-hmm. And the winner of national championships, you could not get denied. If you won, you're going. And that's what I had to do. I had to win. Well, I didn't train well because of my son, et cetera. No excuses. I made the choice not to train. I made the choice to stay up till 4 a.m. feeding him, et cetera. And I regret nothing to this day. So yeah, that's
Chris Carmichael is a big name when you read about, anything you read Lance Armstrong, you hear Chris Carmichael. So
yeah,
man, awesome. Like just to be associated in that time and to have that.
It was a crazy time. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was crazy. The secrets, not that I knew secrets, but the whispers and the word I'm thinking of is more of rumors. You're like, what? They do that? That's weird. So, but
that's so awesome.
yeah, and the doping scandals later to follow and all that. Just, man. And I remember Steve Johnson, that ended up CEO of USA Cycling. He came to Utah and did a talk. And this is right after I started my shop. And this is when Armstrong was just pre-cancer. And he's like, we are going to do everything and anything with no sacrifice to be top of the cycling world for the United States.
Wow.
And he did.
Yep.
He sure as hell did.
Yep.
So
it's 1992, Mike. You've done you kind of are like, okay, is racing going to be the long-term future? As you mentioned, new son, and then walk us through from that point into, okay, I'm going to make a career out of this with my shop.
For sure. Yeah, so I was managing Bingham Cyclery in the Foothill location, which moved to the KeyBank building or moved to 2300 East and then back to that KeyBank building. Anyway, I went to Joel Bingham. I'm like, hey, Joel, I really enjoyed this. I want to make this a career. I think we can really make Bingham's the best bicycle shop in the state. But what I want is some security. I want to, hey, give me like a 401 or something. Don't just pay me, right? Make it worth my while. And he's all, no, I'm going to give it all to my son. And so in 95, I opened my bike shop. Take in mind, in 93, Pratt already opened Canyon Bicycles, right? So he was a couple years ahead of me. And Pratt and I actually opened Canyon together, the second location, which is now what you know as Hangar 15, Olympus Hills, Millcreek. So, and Pratt and I stayed partners for about a year. And then I bought him out a year and a half, 2 years after that. And we kept the name the same to share advertising expense. And it was silly because the advertising expense was so small. When you look back at it, it's like coupon mailers and race promotion. It probably wasn't even $3,000 a year. I swear it was cheap. And then in 2010, I contacted Pratt. And I'm like, hey, I'm thinking of just changing the name to Millcreek. We can't even use the same gift cards, right? And he's like, yeah, that's a great idea. And he's like, I want to buy canyonbicycles.com from you. I'm like, okay. And so we worked out a deal so he could buy that. And I changed it to Millcreek Bicycles and did the expansion, if you do remember. And that, So, and everything went very, very well. And then I sold in December 2015 back to Mike Pratt. So, and it's still going well.
Yeah. And now that is at 7, I believe, total locations for Hangar.
He has 7 total locations. So I was his 4th location. So
now, are all those in Utah, Mike?
They're all in Utah. So I'm the most northern store. The most southern store is Spanish Fork, which he purchased last 2 years ago, which was Noble Sports, Noble Bicycles. I can't remember the exact name. I live on Noble Oak, so it's getting a little weird in my brain, but yeah.
Man, that's awesome. So Mike, now you're running your shop, you own your shop, and it's like, I am doing something I love as my hobby, but it's also my full-time work, and I'm providing for a family with something that I love. How does it change? Do you ever during those times, like, I can't look at another bike, it's not even my hobby anymore.
So when I told my dad I was going to open a bike shop, he looked at me like I was crazy, almost the same look as when I bought a $1,000 road bike in 1980. And he's like, Mike, you were so passionate about bikes. You love bikes. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, when you make your passion work, how is your passion not going to become just work? And I'm like, Dad, old man, you don't know what you're talking about. So in 95, I weighed 136 pounds, still on top of my game overall. And by 98, I weighed 176 pounds. Didn't ride a bike for 3 years.
What? Wow.
Yeah. And what set? Oh man, remember Silversmith Casino in Wendover?
Yeah.
Well, the owner was a customer of mine. He came from Bingham's to Canyon, and in '98, when I was just way heavy, 32-ounce Diet Cokes 3 times a day, nastiness, just nasty, working, no joke, 12 to 18 hours a day. He came in and I was wrapping his handlebars while I waited real quick. And he asked me if I preferred Michelin over Connie. And I said Michelin at the time. And he's like, why am I even listening to you? You don't even ride. Like he stabbed me right there. Like that's who he is though. Just like brutally honest, which you got to respect someone for that. Right. And I'm just like, holy crap. And so I started riding again. And so I started my group rides and getting back into cycling. And I don't know if you guys know her. Her name's Jo Garuccio. And this is one of our first group rides. And so we're riding up Emmy and we're at the switchbacks and I'm kind of pushing hard, but I'm just a melted ice cream going uphill. Ice cream cone. And Jo Garuccio passes me. She's like 100 pounds soaking wet. And I look at her and I'm all, you goddamn old woman. I said a little more cursing words, but we're friends. We can talk to each other that way. And I just realized like how I'd let myself go. And so I started riding again and, being the competition is what I miss the most from cycling, like from racing, the competition, the camaraderie as well. Yeah. So, yeah. But
very good.
Anyway, so that's how it brought me back to I work at the shop. I have learned some balance, but it is some days you come home and you need to get on the trainer for 40 minutes and it's not happening.
Yeah.
So,
well, Mike, one thing we've watched, which is crazy about the shops, and I mean, we're getting these stories from, everybody that goes into shops, is how wild 2020 has been.
Oh yeah.
For your industry. Would you just walk the team through and listeners through like what you've seen in the last year and like the differences, the changes, things that are going on just in the last like 9 months?
Oh, for sure. 2020 was insane. So obviously we had triple demand. We had a supply chain cutoff, right? So perfect storm for show. Sorry, I probably shouldn't say stuff like that on it. But perfect storm. And so I saw in the human resources, human management side, I saw my employees, they're willing to help customers degrade because they didn't have to, because buy it or leave it because I'm going to sell it in 20 minutes. That was really frustrating for me because it's like, okay, when this is over, we still want to be here. So if you're going to treat people poorly, okay, so that's what I saw on my side internally with the shop. But what I saw for the majority, my customer base was so understanding and very, very patient. Before COVID, 2018, for example, 2019, man, my customer base, you guys are great, but I'm talking about that general $600 customer, right? Man, if they didn't get the color they want, if they didn't get it perfect, they were upset about the smallest things. And with COVID, kind of brought everyone closer together. It was like, okay, well, I can't get you the pink one, but I can get you the black one in a month. Are you willing to wait? Oh, thank you so much. A lot of gratitude was there. A lot of gratitude. So from that interaction to find a human element in a pandemic, it was really cool to witness. Of course, you get an upset customer. Everyone does. You can't please everybody. But it was really cool to see that human element of customer come in and be completely appreciative of the hard work that you're doing. That was really nice to see.
Interesting.
Yeah. But as far as supply demand, the demand's insane.
Yeah.
It's still going too.
What is the current inventory right now, Mike?
Our current inventory has actually increased about 25%, and we're about 60% lower than 2019. So Mike, Hangar 15's role model, or not role model, sorry. Their model is not to do a lot of flips. So Millcreek, I wanted to do 3.5 to 4 turns of inventory a year. Fortunately, Mike's model is 0.75 because he wants immediate gratification, right? So we were overstocked when COVID hit. So we had way more than other shops because most other shops practice 3 turns a year and they couldn't get it. And so fortunately for Mike, his model paid huge dividends. So, which was awesome for everyone, because pre-COVID, Pratt and I sat down. He's like, okay, what shop should we close down? Who are we going to lay off? That was kind of a scary conversation. Right. And then a month later, we couldn't get enough employees.
Yeah.
So,
well, one thing that Chip often talks about, and he really is kind of the wise one here, is understanding and knowing the shop that we're working with. Chip, maybe you could lead us through that conversation of like your philosophy in working with Hangar.
Yeah, for sure. For everyone listening, you've all been on the group me messages, which typically go like this. Hey, it's 2 weeks before Lodaja and I need a tune-up. Where can I get in and out in the same day? And it's like, come on, guys. It's 2 weeks before Lodaja for everyone in the valley, not just the group here communicating. So I have felt like just the importance of thinking about the mechanics, especially, and the sales team at Hangar overall, in any bike shop, the importance of, number one, getting to know them, getting to know your mechanic who's working on your build, regularly working on your bike. They get to know you. And when I say get to know them, I'm talking about on a first name basis. I would talk to them as my friend. Getting to know the person that is selling or giving you advice on your bike, similar to how I am with Mike when I tell him what I would like out of the new ride, what I would, and I always, every time I walk into the shop after it's built, I yell from about halfway back of the store, it's faster, right? And I just have to make sure that they did make it faster and lighter no matter what, right? I'm just kidding on that one. But, and then, so what I do want to mention though, is just stopping in, getting to know them, visiting, creating just a mutual respect out of rider, racer, and mechanic and sales is important. For our listeners out there that would anticipate to walk into a shop unknown or unseen and kind of make a demand is challenging, especially in the times we are in with the demand right now and COVID, etc. You've heard Mike say, it's tough to employ enough people just to keep up with the demand. It's challenging. So,
Mike, is Chip off his rocker here, or is this good advice?
Great advice.
Okay.
Great advice. And we can go into that if you want my perspective on
do it. Yeah, let's hear it.
Yeah. So interacting with the shop can be very intimidating for a new cyclist. And what I would tell that new cyclist, or have you guys tell that new cyclist before they come in, if you're going to do that, is to tell them just to relax. We are not judging you. We don't care if you're 40 pounds overweight. I mean, look at Doug Brower. I met him, 2013, 40 pounds overweight. And now he's just ripping it, right?
Yep.
No, we don't. We're not judging you, whether you're heavy, skinny, fast, slow. We really don't care. We just want to take care of you, and we want to listen to what your needs are, and so we can help you the best. So that would be my advice to a new cyclist coming in. And I don't mean this to be sexist, but it's more prevalent with female cyclists to be more intimidated, especially if they're new. They just need to come in and just realize that we're not going to judge them whatsoever based on any aspect of their life. We just want to listen so we can get them the best possible product. And that's our policy, and that's how we train our employees. So when they come into Hangar 15, they need to know those words have been told to our employees. You do not judge them. This is how you do it. You listen, feature, benefit, all that. So
nice. And one thing, if we're ready to move on, that we hear constantly from new members on the team, people that are in this industry, whether it's that weird Utah Facebook cycle page or whatever, is, should I get fit? Who should fit me? Does fit matter? Man, my feet hurt. Ow, my back sucks. Oh, my hands are asleep. Is this normal? And it's always the same conversation over and over and over. And Mike has been part of that solution, that industry, that thing. I mean, Mike has fit me on all of the bikes I've ever ridden.
Yeah.
Is this a good time to kind of transition into that talk? Is how did that start, Mike? Like where did that come from where you were like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna fit people, this is a need and I know how to do it?
Oh yeah. So I started fitting just for myself to get faster when I was training, right? Back in 89, 90. So in 89, I read Greg LeMond's competitive book on cycling, right? And he had a fit formula. And that fit formula was derived from his coach, who measured all the pro cyclists, inseam, arm length, torso length, etc., and measured their bikes and reverse engineered a formula. That's how that happened. So it got me really into it. I was like, how can I get faster? How can I get faster? And so I went from a Cat 4 to a Cat 1 in 18 months. And everyone thought it was because I was fitting. I'm like, well, it was training, but then everyone started, hey, fit me. I'm like, wow, people really are into this. So that's how I started fitting. It's just fitting myself, then fitting people that wanted to get faster, more comfortable, etc. First lesson I learned was don't fit that 50-year-old like you're 18. But fit is extremely important, probably more important for a new cyclist than with my method than a seasoned cyclist, but important for everyone nonetheless. And if you don't get fit with me, get fit with somebody. It's a good start. Whether that's perfect or not, it's a good start. Everyone needs to be fit on a bike, especially road cycling. There's the margin of error is pretty small. With mountain bike, if I'm off by a couple centimeters, you probably won't even feel it because it's such a dynamic sport, right? But road, you're a little more static. You're fixed in that position, and so it gets pretty important. And
what's the sign of the first sign of a bad fit? I mean, you've fitted hundreds of people, so like, what's
thousands?
Maybe the first sign of a bad fit.
There's so many. A bad fit is, and Stuart brought it up. My feet go numb. My hands go numb. My back hurts. Well, those are all very, very normal symptoms, or excuse me, common, but they're not normal. They're not supposed to happen. So when somebody complains about, like, for example, penile numbness for men, most new cyclists think that's just how it is. That's a terrible thing to deal with. And the long-term effects are, when you get to my age, are erectile dysfunction. Who wants that, right? There's some serious long-term effects that you don't want to deal with. And by the way, it's preventable. You can prevent it. So there's not one sign of a bad fit. I'd say the most common is saddles too high. Most people put their saddle too high. That's the most common error if you fit yourself. Most people want that full leg extension. But you get a full leg extension, you have so much power at the bottom of the pedal stroke. You all know where the bottom of the pedal stroke is, right? There's no power being given. You're transitioning to pulling back. So that's where everyone goes wrong. So anyway, don't want to get too technical.
When I ride by cyclists, you got to know I'm judging you. All of it. I can't imagine the amount of judging that Mike is doing.
I've had to deprogram my brain not to say as I pass a cyclist or get past these days saddle's too high, too low.
You just yell out your window, I can help you.
No, I just focus on what I need to for myself.
Nice. Chip, I know that Mike's fit you on all your bikes. How come? Why would you choose him over anybody?
Yeah, as mentioned, trust is a big thing. And let's get a little bit more technical. When Mike fits me, every single measurement goes into Hangar 15's computer. So when I go do a new bike build on a mountain bike or on a gravel bike, already the statistics or the data is loaded, and Mike can say, okay, you ride a 56 road bike. Maybe you're going to go with a 54 on a cross bike because we should size down a little bit, but we're going to extend the bars by this. So we start with like a very close, we're pretty close on what size mountain bike, cross bike, road bike I ride because of just the time spent in there. And then on top of that, and this gets all back into building your relationship, Mike would know I'm an aggressive, or whether I'm an aggressive rider, or am I flexible enough to have my bars this low? Should they be higher? And so now let me finish the question by saying this. I feel super comfortable after a 100-mile gravel or road or mountain bike ride on my fits. And I can tell you that once upon a long time ago, I felt all those pains that you described that are no longer.
Yeah. I mean, if I was going to say the same thing before we ask Mike, I want to ask you, Mike, what makes a great fitter? But I was going to say the same thing, which is the biggest complaint that I hear is like a guy is into the sport and he spends $1,500, $2,000 on a bike. And then he's like, you want me to spend what to get fit? Like that's an eighth of the price of this bike. That's ridiculous. And then I say, well, what's ridiculous is the way that you complain about how your hands are numb and your feet hurt and your back hurt. Like none of that is happening for me. And so like this sport sucks if you're not fit on your bike. That's my 100%. That's my advice. Yeah. So Mike, the one question that always comes out is like you said, if it's not you, then it's somebody else. Like how are the fitters in Utah? Like how do you guys cage fight? Like how does the octagon look? Who's the best?
Well, I'm the best. But
nice.
But we don't cage fight. We keep to our own. I'm willing to give someone a second opinion or have someone get a second opinion on my fit. There's not much ego involved as far as that. I just want the best product for my clients. So yeah, we don't cage fight really. I mean, I guess the cage fight happens on how many recommends you get on the Facebook cycling post, right? So, and I count those and I'm like, yes.
Can you take us through like a process of how it works? Like what you do when somebody comes in?
Well, I would want to simplify it to some degree, but I look at every contact point so your feet, so cleat placement, fore aft, and amplitude, of course, and then stance. I also look at saddle height, saddle fore aft, saddle width. I look at reach, bar drop, bar width. I also am looking at what you don't see. I'm looking at is body composition, flexibility, unusual motion. I look at like sacrum, greater trochanter, etc. These are clues. One thing where my fit supersedes everyone else, in my belief, is that other bike fitters, they don't look at cycling technique, nor do they know cycling technique because their cycling background is more recreational. Just like swimming or golf or any, sport, you have to do it technically correct. And so when I developed my system based on correct technique. For example, you've seen those guys that pedal on their toes. That's a lot of calf, right? Well, so what are they going to do? They're going to put their saddle too high to get the knee extension they need. And now they're using calf instead of quad. That's a poor choice, in my opinion. And so as you guys, I fit all of you, I think, except Jake, I establish heel height before I measure saddle height, because with the proper heel height, now I know the proper knee angle based on that flexibility. So my fit is technique based. For example, if Tiger Woods swung as fast as he does, technically incorrect, he would have never made it, right? But he's one of the best technically swung golfers ever. Michael Phelps, technically correct. He is so fast because he does it right. And of course, he's strong and he trains hard. So that's where I apply my fit, is like, let's make them, if they're doing it right, they're going to be more efficient. If they're more efficient, less energy expended. Less energy expended at the end of the day means more comfort, even if my saddle's 2 millimeters too high or too low. Doing it technically correct is where that is the fulcrum point of my fittings.
That's really good.
Mike, do you find people coming back though to maybe tweak things after maybe 60 days or 90 days? I mean, is there maybe a threshold in there where people are like, after 30 days, if you're still feeling this, come back and see me?
Absolutely. Of course. I probably have, I don't know, let's say 5% of follow-ups that there's an issue that I did not fix. And so, yeah, absolutely. I have I'll refit anyone for free after about 6 months, within reason, right? I do more than 6 months if I fit you in November because you haven't been riding, right?
Sure.
But no, absolutely. There are errors. For example, let's say someone can go palms to floor on their hamstring flexibility, right? Super flexible. And so I drop the bars for more glute activation. However, I missed that they have a C6, C7 fusion, and I didn't take that in mind, and I'm challenging their neck too much. And so we have to raise the bars. So yeah, absolutely. That's part of it. That's part of the process. That's also how I get better, is refits. I learn more from my mistakes than I do my successes.
Dang, it's so cool to hear your mind like processing all of that. It's so cool.
Rad. So cool.
Mike, I think a good one, an important one that maybe not everyone takes advantage of, that I would call out, is the shoe cleat fit. Like,
yeah,
almost, I mean, as important as the bike fit, but I know many that just grab that cleat, put it on for pretty much what feels pretty good. And that's a big deal. But Mike really does cleat and shoe fits that are just as important.
When that comes with the fit, does that come with the fit, Mike?
Yeah, my fit is fully inclusive. The only thing that I don't do that I would like to, I used to do it with Millcreek, is custom footbeds. It's kind of tedious, and it adds another $100 onto the fitting. And so most people stayed away from it. And so it ended up not being worth the inventory. But that's the only thing I miss about my fitting. But however, that being said, the footbeds that we do offer, they're 95% of that. They're pretty close. So, but that's that 5%, that really strange foot. Like right now, we don't accommodate that. But
dang, but, Mike, like you have been in this industry for, I mean, essentially your whole life. You've seen so many people come through it. Like as we wrap up, it's kind of become a standard here on the podcast is, if you were to give advice to people in this team, whether it's bike advice, personal advice, shop advice, like I don't care what it is, like what would you say to this team? Maybe Mike's top 3 pieces of advice for, bike life.
Oh man, that is a tough question, and maybe I should have read ahead and studied that one more than anything. Damn it. But top 3, it's not about the bike. Like you guys are into the bike. You guys want the S-Works, you want that, and you want it lighter. I get that. And I used to be that way. And it became an obsession to get my bike as light as possible because that's going to make me faster. And it ends up to be a crutch. So as far as the elite rider, whether it's upper end recreational, Strava, segment chaser, racer, if your crutch is how light, and I'm going to tell you the story real quick. If your crutch is how light your bike is, well, you've put yourself at a disadvantage already, because there's always somebody in that pack that can beat you, no matter what, whether it's on an 18-pound bike or a 14.5-pound bike. So focus on your happiness and your self-worth on the bike, and you'll reap the benefits you sow in training. whether your bike's 17 pounds or 15 pounds. So
Great advice.
I was doing this race, and I read this in Le Mans book, the competitive book of racing, and the mind games you can play with your opponents. And so I took Le Mans advice out of the book, not directly. And so we're doing what's the stage race, Evanston to, or excuse me, the High Uinta stage race. What do we start?
High Uinta Classic.
Yeah, High Uinta Classic. Thank you. Sorry, my brain. Anyway, we're going up Mirror Lake, and it's starting to get steep, and I noticed one of my opponents drinking some water. I'm like, wow, you're going to carry all that water over this climb? Threw up my big ring, attacked, never saw him again.
Is it weak to drink water?
He was so worried that the weight of his water was going to make him slower that he DNF'd.
Oh my goodness.
I didn't mean to do that to him that way. I just tried what I read. I wasn't trying to be an ass. I ended up to be an ass, but I didn't mean to. I was just like, really? That works? People listen to you?
Mike, Stu's got some tactics too, though. I mean, Stu's famous or notorious. We'll be riding with him, and he'll just start whistling. He'll just
whistle
start
or sing.
I'm just like total in the pain cave, and he's just whistling, and I'm just like,
that's another one, talking while everyone's suffering. Yeah, how's your day?
Totally,
and you're like, I can't even breathe.
Jake, don't tell him my tactics.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's gotten me many times though.
Don't listen to it. Focus on yourself. And that's another thing. You'll see it on like where someone gets dropped in the tour, and then they find their rhythm again, and next thing you know, they're back with the field. And that's because they focused on themselves and they've found their rhythm instead of worrying about everyone else's rhythm. So
very cool.
So good.
That was solid. Are you going to do 2 more pieces, or is that you want to end there with that advice? Any other thoughts?
So many cyclists, especially roadies, and don't take offense, so many roadies are so judgy. You guys need to smile and wave. Mm-hmm. You guys need to not you guys. I don't know you guys like out there, but when I'm riding my road bike and, I give a heads up or a hey, and they look at me like they're, in the 20th stage of the tour. And I'm like, they have no idea what they don't know. Right? I'm like, if they would just take it less serious, it would be nice
we have
to
a
have.
Famous wave too. We like to go like this when Stu and I, everyone rides. We just like to
perfect. That's how
really
it should be done.
At everybody,
What's that? It's been like 5-6 years. There's a commercial, someone selling boats. Everyone's waving, right? You ever go boating? Everyone waves, right?
Uh-huh.
That's how it should be. Don't take it so serious. Like, enjoy it. We all share the same passion, whether it's road, mountain, track, fixie, that hipster downtown, ripping it through downtown red lights. He shouldn't do that. But he's got a passion for the same thing I do. He just does it differently. So calm down and let's just all have fun and support each other. I don't know how, if like I've been through it. I've lost a lot of friends through auto bike, right? Let's be safe out there. Nice. There's nothing wrong with wearing lights and helmets. When I was racing, this is funny. When I first started racing, first year helmets were not required. And so I did Moab stage race without a helmet. I think I had a hairnet. Doesn't matter. And then the next year they made them required. So what would we do? All the cool guys, we would strap our helmets on our handlebars, ride out to the International Center to do the crit with our helmets on, and then strap them on our handlebars to go home. It's the dumbest thing ever. It's like, let's just stay alive. Let's just let's be old and grumpy and tell kids to get off our grass when we're 90. Right? So
good, Mike.
There you go.
Very good. Chip, as we kind of close up, anything else for Mike as we wrap it up?
We as a team want to say thanks, Mike, for the partnership between Duole and Hangar 15. You and Mike Pratt for being a part of our team in 2021. We timed this podcast, everybody, so that you could get to know Mike as we go into packet pickup this Thursday, and you can greet Mike and knowing him ahead of time and his background. And so, we welcome you onto our team, and truly as a partnership between club and bike shops to work together to help each other, and both, kind of all boats rise as we all work together. And so we're appreciative of that.
Awesome. And I need to also say the work that Stu and Spencer has put into Duole is it's noticeable. So I've known my Duole since I raced, right? Wow, you two have done such an amazing job with the club. I've never seen anything like this, and so kudos to you guys. I have to give that to you. You guys, you got to own that.
We're getting paid the big bucks. A lot of
I know how that works. But no, good job. It's a pleasure. If it wasn't for you guys, I don't know that we would be interested. So thank you, and because you do it right.
Thank you.
Do it right.
Yeah, well, we love it. We love everybody on the team, and we're grateful to be partners. We don't. I think that's a good name for us, not a sponsor, but partners. So thank you, Mike.
Great. Thank you.
My big thanks to Mike Hanseen and everybody at Hangar 15. We realized as we wrapped up that we didn't provide any information on how to contact Mike for a fit. So the best way to do it is to call Hangar 15 at the Millcreek location, the Olympus Hills, at 801-278-1500. And everybody in the shop has his scheduling calendar. So if you want to reach Mike for a fit, you can talk to anybody, 801-278-1500 to get fit. Thanks, everybody.